and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm hanging out with you mamas to talk about all things homeschool recap for the year 2021-2022. What curriculum choices that we used, what we didn't use, what are the highs, the lows, the peaks, and all the valleys of our homeschooling year. So if you'd like to hear more, then let's get started. Hey you, did you hit that play button for the very first time? Well, welcome to the channel. I'm Tasha. This is Tasha Pivots, where we talk about all things mamahood and homeschool and how I'm pivoting through this journey. And like I said in that introduction, we are just gonna hop right into all the curriculum. I'm showing you here, this is our bins that we've been using all year round. And I've some things that we signed up for in the beginning of the year, we brought in and we did and we achieved it, and we're wrapping it up, or there's things that honestly fell through the cracks, and that's okay. And there's a lot of things that I had to say that's not for me in this season. So let's me take a little sip. This is your little reminder. Are you drinking water today? Have you had water yet today? Okay. So if you're new here, I have two children who I've been homeschooling this year, and one I've homeschooled for the last 3 years. One, this has been like her first official year. The first one is 8, and she is completing 3rd grade right now. Can't even believe it. And then I have my middle, which she will be finishing up preschool and moving on into pre-K next year. And then we've got baby Theo, who just arrived. So, you know, he's just, you know, feeling things out. Anyway, so yes, we are 3rd grade and preschool is what I've been doing this 2021-2022 homeschooling year. And it has been, if you've been with me for a while, you know that while right when I was entering into the school year, right when we decided to do year-round school, I ended up finding out we were pregnant with our 3rd. And so I went through a lot of health shifts and things. So that really played a part in our homeschool. But I am so grateful that homeschool is a part of our life, because if not, I couldn't imagine what it would be like trying to go to appointments, trying to, you know, have the energy to get through an entire day of school, or pick up, drop off, all the things that some parents have to choose to do daily. And I was able to navigate and do things just that was best for our family, and choosing the grace that we needed in that moment. And so all that to say, to jump right in with curriculum, I'm going to start with 3rd grade, and then we can talk about what we did for preschool. As far as the recap, I think that we did at least 80% of the curriculum choices that we chose from the beginning of the year. And that was our lightning literature. That was our science and nature with seashore animals from Simple Studies. That was our, let's see, what else did we do that was still a part of our curriculum? There was the, I'm spacing. Oh, math. Our math, we started out with the good and the beautiful because we were wrapping up our year 2. And we did really well with wrapping that up all the way until December. So going into our 3rd year, our 3rd quarter is when I made a shift. And that's the same thing that happened with Writing with Ease. I recognized that Writing with Ease and lightning literature were kind of like parallel to each other, and I didn't want to over exude all the writing practices with my daughter. So I chose to go ahead and put Writing with Ease down. The other thing was handwriting. Zoe continued to do handwriting level 5 of Good and the Beautiful, and she ended up completing it in its entirety just, I want to say, a week ago. And I think that was it. That was the ones that we have really stuck to all year round. And the things that we ended up having to just put down due to just my energy level and the capacity that I honestly had as a homeschool mom, as a full-time mom, while going through the shifts and changes of my own body and health, was French. I had to put French down. I think we're still going to pick it back up. Zoe still has a big interest in it. But we put French down, and we put down history. Like, we were doing history, we were going to go ahead and start with fervor, and like the curriculum has had to be so stretched out and being completed, I had to just pause on it because I didn't want to just give her half of the curriculum or just do a unit of it when really I wasn't able to give her the full capacity of what I wanted to do for that. So those are the curriculums. That's what we did. To start off with lightning literature, I've talked about it over on my Instagram. I've talked about it here in a video where I talked about just a recap of the quarter. We really enjoyed lightning literature. I think it's very underrated. I think that it definitely needs a larger platform in the sense of it just getting exposure. So if that's here for you and you're looking for a literature curriculum, I highly suggest it. I love the simplicity of it all being in a workbook. So if you're a mom that's like, I don't want to print all the things, I want them to have their workbook. I have my student or my teacher workbook. There's that. Number two, there is stories where they're getting to read books, rich books that have been around since we were kids that they can learn from, grow, have conversation, do narration and dictation. And then there's this grammar and mechanics. So they're learning pronouns, adverbs, non-adverbs, adjectives, and how to properly, why do we have quotations and all the different things. Each week they're getting a plethora of opportunity to really learn the basics of literature and language arts. I think also the part that I always root and rave about is the proper composition exercises that we do. Me and Zoe have really enjoyed doing them together, as well as me just walking her through how to write a paper properly, from breaking it down from doing internal to external ideas and information to doing topics, like coming up with a topic, having a title, then doing your subtopics, and then breaking that down even more and outlining and doing different papers from anywhere from a persuasive essay to how-to essay to the one that she wrapped up that I'm still like in awe about is her research paper on Japan. So if you have a third grader who is up to the challenge of wanting to learn how to write, wanting to tell their stories, wanting to bring their stories to life, but giving them more of a structure, lightning literature I would highly suggest. And yeah, that was our literature. Now moving right along, science and nature actually is going to pivot into both Zoe and Josephine, because I actually made that a science and nature for both of them. They were really interested in water life and marine life, and I love simple studies. I've done the we've done the Nature North American Animals one last year, and Josephine kind of sat through that one, but really didn't participate too much because she was still very young. This year she really participated. Every Wednesday we would sit down, I would read the chapter, we'd have a conversation, we'd do our own research, we'd watch videos on these different creatures that we're learning for the seashore animals. They'd have their coloring book and do their exercise each week, and so we really enjoyed it. It was a simple way for us to still get some literature and story time in, get some Charlotte Mason style of creativity and gentleness. Zoe's able to write extra research, us taking trips to the aquarium. It was all really, really fluid and ease. Like, it wasn't something that I had to feel like I had to buy a bunch of supplies to then do a science project. And I don't have anything against that, but in that season, in this season of this school year, we didn't have space for that. I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, so we enjoyed that. Now, going on to math, the good and the beautiful. I know that they were going through a lot of challenges and a lot of changes. We really enjoyed it our second grade year. It was new to me. I went from doing master books math, from me deciding that master books just wasn't for us, and I didn't like the dialogue of it all. It didn't feel like there was enough exercises, and it was just a book of just a workbook as is. So I went on to the good and the beautiful, and this was the older version. So it had like the manipulative box. It had 2 books that came to it that was broken up, part 1, part 2. And for the beginning part, it was fine. Like, we wrapped it up. We had to extend it because there's a lot of lessons, right? And I wanted to make sure Zoe was really utilizing it. But eventually I had to like say, okay, this is enough. Like, I'm good. So right at around January, I recognized that Zoe still needed to do some more structural work when it comes to addition and subtraction, really understanding, doing it and regrouping. And so I just was like, you know what? I'm going to close the chapter on the good and the beautiful. I'm not going to rush into a third grade good and the beautiful, because they were still in the process of coming out with that, the new simplified one. So what we did is I just got this math skills book of third grade, and we started working with that, and it's been great, just doing worksheets, doing math drills. I print from mathdrills.com, and I would do addition, subtraction. I'd either mix them or do them separately, give her a time for 8 to 10 minutes. until it started to come naturally. And then doing some problem solving and doing some shapes and graphics and some fractions, things like that. So right now she's finally entered into the comfortability of multiplication. And I think we're going to carry it out all through the summer, basically the first quarter of her next school year before we merge into fourth grade math. So yeah, math has been our challenge, I think, out of the entire homeschooling year. And so we've been really just taking it all in, not rushing the process, and allowing it to be what it is. It's okay that if your child is excelling in one area and maybe needs a little bit more nurturing and support in another. I think that is very fundamental and important. So what do? We did science and nature, literature, and our math. Now, pivoting over to Josephine, we started out with doing A Year in 100 Acre Woods, primer with Pooh from the Year of Learning, and we enjoyed it. We did it for the first 21 weeks of school. Josephine was doing her alphabets, she was doing the crafts. We did pretty much all the things, and she enjoyed it. The stories were a little bit long. I think that would be my only caveat to this entire curriculum, is that the story writing for like maybe kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, that is fine. But primer with Pooh, it was a little bit difficult trying to get her to sit through the stories, or I would have to extend the story for the entire week. It felt like it was just too long and mundane. So I would just suggest that if you're thinking about doing primer with Pooh, as much as I love the curriculum, I love the heart of behind it, and I love Lisa so much, I think primer with Pooh may be more leaning for a kindergartner or a little bit more of an older preschooler. Like maybe now at Josephine being 4 and being used to the rhythm of sitting, she probably would take it a little bit easier than she did, say, at 3.5 years old. There's different factors. Plus, she's a different child. She excels way more in math than she does in literature. She rather you read a story to her, but don't be too long, type thing. So I think that's pretty normal for a preschooler. But yeah, so that's what we did. We did primer with Pooh for the first year. Then, or the first 2.5 quarters, I want to say even the third quarter, we wrapped it up. Then I decided, you know what, we're just going to focus on some basics. We're going to focus on her sounding out letters. We're going to focus on her writing her letters, writing her name. And so that's what we've been doing. We've been doing worksheets, like some are from 123homeschool.com. And if you would like a flip through of maybe her binder and what that looks like, let me know in the comments below. Or anything that I've been talking about, leave that in the comments below if you have any questions. And then we did math skills for her as well. I got the preschool math skills, and that's been great because she's just practicing writing her numbers. She's practicing recognizing shapes, how many sides are in a shape, her colors, just, you know, those fundamentals that will carry her into pre-K. And then, like I had already said, seashore animals, she was participating in there, and we did really well. So overall, I would say that our homeschooling year, as much as it didn't have all of the extra things that I anticipated to do, as far as doing French and doing history and taking more field trips and doing all the things, I still feel that we had a rich homeschooling year. It has towards the end, and I think that's kind of normal, where it starts to feel very routine-like and we've got to shake things up a bit. We still did our morning baskets at times when we're doing our Bible time, our worship time, but a lot of things looked a lot different. I had a lot more having to leave to go to appointments, taking school with us, allowing them to have tablet time. So just want to encourage you, like if you're looking at your year and you're reflecting on it and you're like, it didn't all pan out the way I would have liked it to, that's okay. You're not alone. Again, if you have any questions about what I've shared today, put it down in the comments below. I appreciate you hanging out with me today on this recap of our homeschooling curriculum. And yeah, until next time, give this video a warm thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye.